Daniel's dad had a system. Every Friday after his shift, he'd stop at a shop, buy a 6-pack of Great Northern beer, and drink 4 of them in a car park before driving home. Not because he was an alcoholic, he'd tell you that himself, very clearly, but because 4 beers was apparently the exact dose required to make him capable of walking through his own front door and acting like a normal human being. His wife Karen knew about the system. His son Daniel figured it out by age 8. Nobody even mentioned it. It just became one of those family facts that lives in the walls of a house, like damp and mold. Kalgoorlie sits 8 hours east of Perth in Western Australia, on top of one of the richest gold deposits ever found on Earth. The town has been pulling that gold out of the ground since 1893, collectively pretending this is a sustainable way to build a community. It doesn't look like a rich town. It looks like a town that keeps hearing it's rich and has stopped believing it. The main street, Hannon Street, named after Paddy Hannon, the Irish prospector who found the gold, has a specific atmosphere of a place that peaked somewhere in 1970s. And has been maintaining since then with decreasing enthusiasm. There's the Woolworths, there's several pubs, there's a lot of red dust on everything, including the Woolworths. The heat is 40 degrees Celsius for most of the year, not holiday heat, punishment heat. The kind that makes the inside of your car feel like a conviction. People walk between air-conditioned spaces with the focused determination of someone crossing hostile territory, which in a sense they are. First-time visitors describe it as oppressive. People who live there for 10 years describe it as fine, which is what people say about things they've stopped being able to fill. The super pit is the reason for all of it. 3.5 kilometers long, 600 meters deep, visible from space, blasting at 1 p.m. every single day so reliably that locals set up their watches by it. The explosion rattles your windows, shatters through your floorboards, and reminds the entire town once per day that the real landlord here is a mining company and everyone else is just visiting. The men, and it is mostly men, do 12-hour shifts in the dark. They come up, they eat, they drink, they sleep, they go back down. After a few years of this, something in their minds changes. Not visibly, more like a frequency shift. They're still there, still functioning, still showing up, but something behind the eyes has quietly relocated. Hayes Street used to have a legal red light district, one of the last in Australia, operating in low iron buildings behind half-painted doors. It closed relatively recently. The official reason involved regulation and community standards. The unofficial reason, which several locals will tell you after second beer, is that internet made it unnecessary. Daniel grew up knowing the exact sound of a house in trouble. Not shouting, his parents weren't shouters. It was something different. It was the specific silence that fell after his dad came home late. The way Karen would start doing dishes with a focus that had nothing to do with the dishes. The way Mark would sit in the armchair with the television on but the sound off, staring at a screen showing images he wasn't watching, present in the way the piece of furniture is present. Mark wasn't a bad man. That was the uncomfortable part. He was a man who came to Kalgoorlie at 26 with genuine optimism, taking the job because the money was real, and the alternative was a warehouse in suburban Perth that paid half as much and felt like giving up. The mine gave him the money. It also gave him tinnitus from the daily blasts, a lower back that started going wrong around year 4, and a relationship with silence that progressively deepened until silence was basically his primary mode of communication. By the time Daniel was 10, Mark's emotional range at home has compressed into 3 settings: tired, drinking, and asleep. Karen managed the gap between what was happening and what was supposed to be happening, with a competence so total it looked, from the outside, like everything was fine. She was extraordinary good at fine. Fine was her full-time job. She knew every trick, the cheerful voice for Daniel's sake, the way to redirect a conversation before it became an argument, the exact moment to leave a room. The thing that actually broke something in Daniel happened when he was 14. He came home from school to find his dad sitting on the back step at 3 in the afternoon. Not drunk, just sitting. Still in his work clothes, boots still on, not having gone inside yet. Daniel stood there and said,
"You right, Dad?"
And Mark looked up and said,
"Yeah, mate,"
and went back to looking at nothing. Daniel went inside, made himself a sandwich, did his homework, watched television. His dad came in around 6, ate dinner, went to bed early. And that was it. That was the whole story. Nothing happened. That's actually what made it so hard to shake. This completely ordinary afternoon that somehow communicated everything about the state of things, more clearly than any argument or incident ever had. His dad sitting on step in work boots, unable to walk into his own house. calling it fine. Daniel left at 17, didn't make a big deal of it, packed a bag on Thursday, told his mom he was going to Perth to stay with a friend. She nodded in the way that meant she understood it was more than that, and had decided not to make it harder. His dad was on a day shift. Daniel wrote his number on a whiteboard on a fridge, next to the shopping list, between milk and bread. Then he got in his car and drove 8 hours west without the radio on. Just the road and the red dirt going past. And somewhere around the 4-hour mark he realized he hadn't cried. And he couldn't decide if that meant he was fine or if it meant the town had already done to him what it did to everyone. Kalgoorlie is still there, still blasting at 1 p.m. The shop still sells Great Northern in 6-packs. The car park is still there. If you grew up somewhere like this or you know someone who did, drop in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want to help me keep making these stories, there's a PayPal link below. This channel isn't monetized yet. It's just me, camera, and genuine belief that these stories matter. Even a small contribution keeps it going. No pressure. But if it meant something to you, you know where to find me. Blasting at 1 p.m. every single day, so reliable. The local set out there watches by it.